How was everyone's first half of one of the best slates of the entire year? I guess judging by the chat so far, and thanks for everyone for being here, by the way. Over 120 people here for a late swap show. Are you kidding me? Are we in trouble? Is that why? Is that why people are just grasping for straws here on a Sunday? Uh, Interesting that I think there was one name that was brought up about 100 times this morning, and it was Derrick Henry. So that's not great. But hopefully we were a little bit light on yesterday in those games. That's pretty much what we talked about for a whole hour yesterday. So we'll walk through. Have an awesome stream planned. Actually finished going through all of my higher stakes teams, and all my late swaps are completely done when it comes to those teams. But like I said, as I was building teams for those contests, I threw about 25 teams or so in some of the lower dollar stuff on FanDuel. So I'm going to go through each of those teams and just show you guys exactly what I'm doing in terms of late swaps. There's a few guys that we'll have to talk about that I think we'll have a decent amount of leverage on. And we're going to walk through some of the plays that were popular yesterday that failed, obviously. Shout out Corey Davis. I love that guy. Just all those people that ended up playing him on DraftKings are probably making a few moves this morning, I would imagine. On FanDuel, these guys were way lesser owned than I thought they would be. I was going through my late swaps and didn't make a lot of changes to any of my main teams after the first game yesterday. And then this morning, I'm working my way through and thinking that I'm going to have to pivot off of all this breeze, but there were a lot of failures yesterday. I actually think that if you have a lot of PMR, even if you didn't land on one of these big plays like Derrick Henry or even like the Josh Allen play, I think you're relatively okay. So some of the guys that I think let's actually do this. So let's do another poll here. So it looks like we have a lot of people that didn't play Derrick Henry. Shout out to 7% of people that have him in 41% or more. Maybe this stream won't be completely for you, but we'll go through my teams as well. But let's do another poll, and this is one that I think is a good way to kind of kick off the conversation today. Biggest bust. So we got ownership here. So Sony Michel, 9 points. He was 25% owned in the Millie Maker. This is Millionaire Maker ownership on DraftKings. Kenny Stills, 8.6 points. He's 21%. Patriots D, 4. Texans D, 6. Both of those guys roughly around 16.5%. Tom Brady, 7 points at 12.79%. Corey Davis with the goose egg. Shout out Corey Davis. He's about 13.8%. I thought that'd be a little bit higher. The Corey Davis ownership, let's check that out actually in terms of the higher stakes. Okay. 13% of the milli, like I said. What do you, after you place your vote for the biggest bust, what do you think his percentage was in the luxury box? Let's get a couple people in the chat. Where was the ownership for Corey Davis in the luxury box? So like the big 3K entry on DraftKings. 17% in the milli. Sorry, 13%. K Dimes, what's up, Dimes? Dimes thinks he's around 30. Dimes, you're a sharp guy. Corey Davis, 30% in the luxury box. 30% of people in the 3K tournament took a 0 from Corey Davis. Good stuff. Good stuff. Corey Davis, Chalk Week. Never fails. So Sony Michel is like insanely cheap, right? Like we talked about him a little bit on stream. On DraftKings, he was just so cheap. He definitely made a lot of roster constructions work. So wasn't too surprising to see him be heavily owned, especially in a tournament like the Millie where people are trying to jam in Michael Thomas, all of those guys. So the Tom Brady thing, yeah, anytime you get 7 from your quarterback, you're blowing that team up today. Like that team probably doesn't have a prayer. And if you're playing Brady, I'm assuming he's probably double stacked at the very least. So if you have like a Brady, Sanu, Edelman team, yeah, you're blowing that team into oblivion today. So that's an interesting poll though. Let's get up to, so we got 56 votes, guys. We got 200 people here live. Let's get up to 100 votes here. Don't be shy. I want to see what was the biggest bust today, because these are the plays that if you have these plays and a combination of these plays, we're making moves this morning, guys. We're making moves. Yeah, Abizzle, Brady stacks dead. Would totally agree with you. Were people really looking at 2 previous New England games and playing Davis off of that? I have no idea, man. Anyone that brings up like a 2-game sample, you should probably run the other way very quickly. 66% Davis was sharp. I mean, maybe. I mean, I guess if I'm going to say the Derrick Henry thing about him being, I guess, maybe not that sharp, if you were looking at high stakes ownership versus low stakes ownership, I guess it goes the other way. So yeah, maybe Corey Davis was sharp. I don't know. I ended up with 1 share across my high stakes teams out of 6. So maybe I'm a donkey. I don't know. We will see. John Brown passing TD saved him from this list. That's really true, Gavin. And we talked about, like, I love John Brown as a player. Like, I think he was on one of my teams that had the biggest score all season, like very early in the year. It's just like so hard to burn a share on a guy like that early in the slate. So like I did end up having, I think 2 of 6 of my main teams had John Brown, but they were one-offs, right? So like it wasn't like a stack type situation where I just want to, like we talked about it, like capture upside as the slate progresses. I had some shares of Harry. I had 1 share, I believe, of Sanu. Like just if you catch that guy along the way, it really helps your teams out. But I'm not going crazy on 2 games I thought were going to go under yesterday. Like I haven't used a quarterback yet on any of my main teams. Like that's how you should approach these slates, in my opinion, because now I have the flexibility to blow up some teams if I really need to. More often than not, I want to make this kind of very, very clear that when I'm making these pivots, I really want to try and pivot away from some of the chalk stacks and move towards some stacks I think will be lower owned. So in terms of the Breeze stacks, everyone wants to know about the Breeze stacks. It depends how much exposure you had to yesterday. Honestly, it's going to be a case-by-case basis, which is why I'm going to walk through 25 of my low-dollar teams today, just so you guys get an idea of what teams I think are insanely dead. We're just going to plow our way through some of these teams, right? So this is an example of a team that is wide open. Singletary and Buffalo Bills, wide open outside of that. Oh, look, we'll start off with a Taysom Hill team. Let's go. So this is just a pretty big stack in terms of Breeze, Kamara, Michael Thomas, Taysom Hill, bringing it back with Stephon Diggs. What I would have left is Greg Ward from Philly, Travis Homer from Seattle. That team's fine. We're going to leave that team. Next team, we got a kind of the opposite. We got a Josh Allen, Singletary, White, Kenny Stills, John Brown team. Relatively wide open. So kind of what we had left here was just a little bit of a mini stack for Philly. Michael Thomas one-off. I mean, I don't love this team overall anyway. So let's see what we got here. Let's take these out and see what we got room for. So we got Kenny Stills. That's basically the only epic failure here. So I don't think we have to get too crazy. So let's put Michael Thomas back in. And let's see what do we had before? We had a Philly stack in here, right, with Goddard. So if we wanted to move any of this, let's say we wanted to get to, like I mentioned before, some of the leverage is going to be in Minnesota. So let's see what happens if we put Thielen in the flex. And say, let's just put the cheaper defense in first. So that leaves us 8,700 at tight end. Let's go. Let's put Saints in. 7,700 at tight end. Can get to Ertz relatively easily. If we move to Diggs, what happens? 6,600, just outside the reach of Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert, but would get us Jared Cook. I don't hate that. What if we move this to Kamara? 5,700 at tight end. Basically Saints onslaught here. Gets us to Jacob Hollister. I don't hate that. I think that might be a little bit more unique, don't you guys? It's interesting. I think that I don't know if I have to get too crazy with this team just because I do have Josh Allen. Singletary was fine. John Brown obviously was reasonable. So I think that I'd want to kind of keep relatively chalky here, but I don't know if I love the construction I had before anyway. So I'm going to go with something like this, I think, with Hollister at tight end and just kind of a little bit of a New Orleans onslaught. Hopefully Saints still get there and these other guys get there as well. So let's move on from that team. So this one, another wide open Drew Brees team. Pretty similar to the other one, honestly, except for this one has Ted Ginn on it. Looks like it upgraded at tight end to Hollister. So this one, I think this one's fine. It's wide open, Singletary Bills. We're going to leave that one. Another big Josh Allen stack here. So I was definitely experimenting with these for the record. Just didn't end up getting there on any of my main squads. So Josh Allen, Singletary, John Brown. Looks like it's brought back with Kenny Stills again. Not great. Did have Darren Fells on this team, which I guess is reasonable at his price. So basically what we have left, we have Michael Thomas and Dalvin Cook mini stack-ish with Saints and then Sanders. I don't love this team overall. You guys think this has the juice to win? I'm not sure what it is. What, Steve? I know you're still in here. What do we think about Miles Sanders today in terms of ownership? Got to get off Michael Thomas here. I'm with you. I think we need like a mini stack here almost. Yeah. This would be an example of a team that I don't think has enough juice to win. And it's a weird range of salary. So let's see what happens if we get off MT. Let's move Dalvin up here. So let's see what happens if we move to some Minnesota guys here. Leaves us with pretty much whatever we want left. Let's see what happens if we put Kamara in. Just, I mean, we need to match the Henry people, right? So that leaves us with 8,000. We move these to Philly. We still get Michael Thomas? I don't think so. We can. I like that a lot. Dalvin, Michael Thomas, Kamara, Eagles D. It's probably a little bit chalky, Steve. Joe, are you drunk? I can barely hear you. Turn me up, my friend. It's as loud as this mic's going to go until I get that cloud lifter. So apologies on that. Sanders might be low because of an aggravating injury. Yeah. I just know you're overweight, Steve. That's why I was curious. I think this team actually, so with Josh Allen, Singletary, John Brown, I don't think it's completely dead. So I think there's enough upside here. And Fells, at least tight ends taken care of. I'm going to leave that one with some of the higher ceiling guys. We got a Cousins stack. So this was a Singletary, James White, Jonnu Smith team. I did have one Jonnu Smith share. Totally lied, I guess, on that. 1 of 25. So this one, I think we're fine. I think we're fine in terms of just like hopefully we get there with basically this Minnesota onslaught with Michael Thomas coming back. Philly D left. I think that one's fine. Team's fine. Yeah, Perkins or Irv Smith. I think it's Irv for me. So this one, we got Josh Allen, Singletary, John Brown, Fells. Bring back. Dalvin, Michael Thomas, mini stack. Greg Ward, Philly. I don't love this one, guys. I don't love this one. Let's see what happens if we get a Michael Thomas, or sorry, if we get a Miles Sanders share here for our boy Steve. So if we do that, can we upgrade Greg Ward at that point? I would assume so. 6,900 for Greg Ward. Does that get us Thielen? Gets us Thielen. Don't hate that. So it would be a Thielen, Michael Thomas mini stack. Kamara, Michael Thomas, Thielen mini stack. Miles Sanders, Philly D. I like that. You see how I'm working through this in terms of like mini stacks and correlation? Like that's ideally what I would like to do. I'm not just going to blow up a team for the sake of blowing up a team. What's up, D Mills? How's it going, man? All right. So this is one only Singletary and Harry Buffalo Bills. Okay. So we got a Breeze stack here. We got Breeze, Michael Thomas, Jared Cook, Alvin Kamara. Bring it back with Thielen. I think this one's fine. I'm not doing a whole lot with Singletary teams. I know we have N'Keal Harry in here that, I mean, mostly failed. But he was so cheap. I think this one's fine to leave. I guess I'm a little bit fortunate here, guys, because I have a lot of open teams. So, like, I think that's why I'm kind of, I mean, it's useful to go through some of the Josh Allen teams because those teams didn't have a whole lot of flexibility anyway. So moving to guys like Thielen, moving to a little bit more Miles Sanders, that sort of thing was something I'd be definitely interested in. So this one has a couple fails. Harry and Davis and James White. So this is a team that I think we need to make moves on for sure. So let's see what happens if we turn this into a Cousins stack. Cousins, Thielen. Tight end. Let's go to our boy Ertz. We need leverage. Defense. Let's just start with Philly since they're cheaper. 10-5 left, so we can get up to. I mean, we don't necessarily want to play. Let's move this one to let's add Cook. The flex. Let's go back to Philly here. Keep typing Philly. It doesn't show up. Idiot. Okay, 8,700 for a wide receiver. At this point, so we got Cousins, we got Dalvin. You have Kamara on this team as well. We move off of Kamara to Sanders. Does it get us Michael Thomas? It does. I don't hate that. So that would be the bring back. If we move off of Sanders, what do we have left if we don't play Sanders? 8K? Doesn't really get us anywhere. If we, let's see, what else? What are our options here? This one's a little bit tougher for sure. I definitely want to overweight the Minnesota side for sure. So leaving Dalvin in here is something I'm definitely going to do. I like the idea of still keeping Michael Thomas on some teams. This team's pretty dead, though. What do we think, Steve? Put Sanders in the flex over Cook. Touche. Make sure we're putting our Philly and Seattle guys in the flex here, fellas. At this point, I don't really think that salary matters a ton. I'm not like scared to leave 1,000 on the table or anything like that. I mean, Harry, Davis, James White, like this team's pretty dead. What do we do here and get unique? I think Sanders is certainly the play here in the flex. Could go Diggs in the flex. That's not bad. It's not bad. Overweight Cousins a little bit more. I like that. Let's do that. Sharp, Steve. Do you think we need to move off of Philly on this one? So like I said, I'm not like excited about any of these other defenses that we have left. But if we're looking for just like the straight lowest owned defense, I don't know. I would prefer still to play the better defenses at this point because I think it's going to be spread out enough. Just looking at ownership in terms of some of the other defenses so far, I'm going to leave this one at Philly. That one's good. Philly D, yeah. All right, so this one, Singletary, James White, Buffalo. Okay, so this, as of now, this one is a Carson Wentz stack. So we got Carson, we got Greg Ward, we got Goddard, we got Miles Sanders. We are bringing it back with Lockett on the other side. I like this team, and Michael Thomas one off. I think this one's fine. Relatively wide open. Does have a failure in there in James White. I mean, a relative failure. So this isn't a team where I would have wanted to like probably have Breeze on it. But I like the Michael Thomas one off here. I think that still having a Carson Wentz stack is fine. Keeping that one. All right, so now we got a wide open Russell Wilson onslaught. Let's go. I think this team's fine, guys. I know we have a Patriots D failure in here, but I mean, it's wide open. Singletary in there as well. I think it's fine. Russ, David Moore, DK Metcalf, Travis Homer, bring it back with Dallas Goedert, Michael Thomas one off, Dalvin Cook one off. I could dig that. I'm in a pickle trying to take Rudolph out, but who do I go down to, Thomas or Kamara? Go down on. I mean, ideally, I think I would be pivoting away from Kamara over pivoting away from Thomas, if at all possible. Joe, any Patriots stacks? Nope. 0 Tom Brady for Joe. All right, so we got Sony and a Patriots team here, so some pretty big failures. We do have Singletary. It's a Carson stack, though, so I don't hate this. So we got Carson, Greg Ward, Dallas Goedert, Miles Sanders, bringing it back with DK Metcalf, Michael Thomas one off. Do we think this team is leveraged enough to get over our Sony and Patriots failure? I think it's wide open enough to where we can leave it. Steve, I have this exact team. Let's go. What are you doing with this team, Steve? Are you leaving it? I think it's okay. That's my initial feel. I'm fine leaving some of these Carson stacks, the wide open ones, because I want to have at least some of the other side of this game as well. And I know Steve's really high on this game. What's up, Noel? Thanks for your 1,000 bits, my friend. If you're just walking in, we're walking through late swap. We've gotten through about half of my lower stakes teams. Do I not like Perkins at all anymore? No, I'm not playing Perkins anymore with this news. I mean, you can make an argument that a lot of people will think that. Maybe he's in a similar spot as like an Irv Smith type of play. I don't know. Don't love it. I'd be moving teams around that have Perkins. Leaving this team. Singletary, Buffalo Bills wide open with Kirk Cousins here. All right, so we have more information now. We know that the games yesterday were terrible. Cousins, Thielen, Diggs, Cook. Bring it back with Michael Thomas. Mini stack with Hollister and Homer. The defense is already out on this one. I think we should maybe leave this one. Have a little bit more Cousins exposure just in case that game goes completely nuts on the other side. Let's experiment, I guess. Let's experiment what a Singletary Bills wide open team would get us with Breeze. I'm most likely leaving this team, by the way. Let's experiment. Breeze, Thomas, Kamara. Let's just say we're going to add in, we do have a tight end slot available, so let's add in Cook. Let's get Thielen in there, since that's where our leverage is at. See what happens when we put in Dalvin. 3,500. Can't play Dalvin. What happens if we play Sanders? One off. 4,500 for a wide receiver. Do we have any $4,500 wide receivers? I don't think we do. All right, so let's see. What if we move to Diggs here? I think Diggs is more expensive, actually. Yeah, we can't do Diggs either. This Jared Cook thing just like really ruins lineups at times. Let's put in a David Moore on the wide receiver. A little bit of leverage in the Seattle game. It gets us 6,400 in the flex. So that basically gets us DK Metcalf. So like a little mini stack with Metcalf and Moore. I don't know. What do we think about this difference? So basically, what we had before was basically an onslaught with Cousins. This one would just be another Breeze stack, basically. With Moore and Metcalf coming late. Jared Cook, Michael Thomas, Kamara, Breeze, bring it back with Adam Thielen. I'm torn on this one a little bit. I think the fact that moving away from some of the wide open Cousins teams to more Breeze does make sense. Does make sense for sure. Thoughts on Homer? I love Homer. I'll have a lot of Homer. So I believe this team before, what was the mini stack? It was Hollister and Homer, I believe. Any love for Traquan with Breeze stacks? Oh, yeah, for sure. Jay Rogers has this team. You sticking with this team, Jay Rogers? I think that you can keep with I think these wide open ones with Singletary and Buffalo, I think adding a Breeze stack is not the worst idea. That's what I talk about. Like, we have more information now. Maybe I don't need a wide open Cousins team anymore. We're going to make the move. Before we go any further, I'm always trying to find unique and creative ways to give back to the community, and at the same time, try and get you guys involved in what we're trying to build here. So if I hit 10K followers on Instagram before the Super Bowl, I will be free rolling one lucky member of the Holkamania community 150 lineups for the Super Bowl showdown slate. I do think this is something that we can definitely accomplish as a community. It was one of my goals for the NFL season, and it is something that you can enter this drawing multiple times by really helping out across my platform. So a couple of things that you can do: retweet anything from me when I'm talking about this contest on Twitter at Joe Holka, will get an entry. Retweet anything from me that links to my YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, or LinkedIn, you will get an entry. If on that original tweet, you do reply with your DK username. So retweeting is one thing. I'm going to need your username to tally all of this up. Another great way to kind of get involved and get more entries into this drawing is to comment, like on a new YouTube video, Instagram post, or LinkedIn cheat sheet. This is all going to be within 24 hours. So if you see one of my videos go up, again, hit that notification bell so you know when all my videos go up. All you have to do is post your DK username in the comments. Basically the same team. Singletary. It's got Patriots on it, though. All right. So Patriots failure in here. Maybe we just move this one to a Cousin stack. I think that's a good happy medium. If anyone's going to look back at these teams later and it would have won all the money, please don't tell me. I don't want to know. All right, let's see what happens if we put that. Let's onslaught Minnesota here and see what happens. All right, so we got a tight end available. Let's put in our boy Goddard, see where that gets us. Let's see what, like, let's try. Let's make an attempt, obviously, still to play Michael Thomas here. And we'll move to, probably need someone cheap in the flex. So who's like our cheap? Let's put Homer in there. He's probably our cheapest guy that I would go down to personally. 5,100 at tight end. I don't know if that's going to be the play. This could be a team where maybe, I guess, I wish we could play one more Minnesota guy. Can't do it. It's the worst on FanDuel. I would love to just add Irv Smith to this or something like that. We're 100 away from our boy Taysom. It's not great. All right, so if we decided to, we could go. Oh, but then that's going to put us out of our Kyle Rudolph range. That's unfortunate. So I think this might be a team that we leave, guys. It just ended up being like a better combination in terms of salary with the Patriots defense. So I think we're going to leave that one with the Breeze stack. Sony Michel, Buffalo Bills. Wide open. We got Breeze, Kamara, Ted Ginn, Michael Thomas, bringing it back with Adam Thielen. Marshawn Lynch. I did have one Marshawn Lynch share. This team's relatively wide open. I don't know if we need to go to Marshawn Lynch here. Would you give up Kamara, Goddard, Thielen, and Metcalf to go to Traquan Diggs, Hollister, and Michael Thomas? That seems like a lateral move in terms of ownership to me, man. So I would just play what you think's better. So this is a relatively wide open team. I know we got a failure in here. Buffalo Bills was at least reasonable. I don't know if we have to go the Marshawn Lynch train on this one anymore. So I'm blowing this up. Let's get some more. Since we do have the failure, let's get some more Wentz in here for our boy Steve. Ward. Goddard. Who's our bring back? Let's bring it back with the cheap guy first. What's to say? There we go. All right. We got a lot of salary here, so let's see what happens. We put in Michael Thomas. We got 8,100 left. Gets us to Dalvin. Little mini stack with Dalvin, Michael Thomas. Book it. So what we did was we moved a team that just being wide open right now is an advantage. So just because we have Sony Michel in there doesn't mean I have to completely just jam in Marshawn Lynch for no reason. So now we have a Wentz stack. Bring back with David Moore, who I think will be relatively low on cheaper salary, fine. But we still got Michael Thomas and Dalvin going here on a mini stack coming. If these fail, maybe we blow it up even more. I don't know. But that's a change that I would make. Metcalf or Homer? So there's a lot of people here that are asking, like, should they be making these type of moves? Like, I mean, how many people did you have that failed yesterday? Like, if you have 2 failures and you are trying to win still, you have to move to lower owned stacks. You just have to do it. So this is a reasonable example of one that's like somewhat borderline to me because we have a Corey Davis failure in here. And for the people that don't know, Corey Davis on FanDuel was not popular at all. I believe he was like definitely not at the high stakes. So this was one of my few shares that I did have of him. Let's see. I'm going to find his ownership quickly at lower stakes because I did have this open. Let's see. Johnny, nope. 6%. So to me, a 6% failure is a little different than a 20% failure. So this is a Breeze stack. I think this one probably is going to be moved to Minnesota for me. Let's see what we can make work. Cousins. Diggs. Thielen. Bringing it back with Michael Thomas, ideally, right? So what do we have left? Let's go tight end. I don't think we have to go crazy with leverage on this. So maybe we just put in Hollister. He's like middle of the pack in terms of his salary. Gets us to 8,700 with this last piece. Could add Kamara to this. We could add Cook to this. Reasonable. We only have, let's add Cook to this because that adds more to our main stack. So it's 700 available. If we didn't play Hollister, who do we have? Hollister's the highest price guy we can get to here with playing Michael Thomas in the flex. So I think that's a decent pivot. We do have a failure, a low-owned failure, which is never good. Basically just move to another main stack here. Cousins, Cook, Diggs, Thielen. Bring it back with Michael Thomas. I think it's solid. People may be sleeping on Jordan Howard, classic LeGarrette Blunt spot. Yeah, I don't really play those guys, man. These guys that are not going to touch the ball tons and might score. Hey, thanks for your tier 1. It's Grits. Appreciate that, man. Still have 209 people here. We got about 10 minutes until lock. One of my clients was making fun of me the other day because it could be like 30 seconds before lock and my heart rate is still at like 55. This is fun for me. So I don't think I have any Lockett somehow. Lockett's a hard guy to get to. Should we try and get to a Lockett team on some dead teams maybe? We have about, I don't know, 8 or so to work through here. So this one just has Singletary and Buffalo Bills on slot with Russ. Bring back Greg Ward. I think we can leave that one. Singletary, Corey Davis, Bills. So same thing before. So I think this is like basically the same team that we just built. This one has Taysom in it. It's a Drew Brees stack with Taysom. Bring back with Dalvin, Greg Ward, one off. Corey Davis failure, one way to get different is he has to play a Taysom Brees team. I don't hate this one, actually. Pretty wide open. I'm going to leave that one for now. Let's leave some Taysom. We can't pivot off all the Taysom. Come on. I'm going to laugh when Taysom gets 0 and people are blowing on my Twitter. Would you play New Orleans against Cousins stack? Yeah, man. It just totally depends on where your team's at right now. My Russ team is Russ, Metcalf, Hollister, Ward, Scott. Yeah, I mean, that's a good stack, man. It's hard. Like, Lockett ruins some stuff as far as, like, your mini stacks around it for sure. Ginn or more for me, Noop. All right, so this one we have James White, Singletary, wide open outside of that, though. So James White, like I mean, obviously wasn't a great score. He got 8 at about 21% ownership. I think we have enough upside here left, at least. So the difference for me on this is a lot of teams we've looked at don't have defense. If Philly scores 20, it's probably still okay to stay on a Breeze stack here. So this is a Breeze, Kamara. I have more Taysom than I thought on some of these $9 teams or whatever this is. Breeze, Taysom, Kamara, Thomas, bring back with Ward, Diggs, Michael Thomas mini stack. I'm going to leave that one. Sorry, not bring back with Ward. Bring back with Diggs. Ward mini stack in that late game. I think that one's okay. Another Singletary, James White, wide open team. We just look at this team. This gets another combination, I guess. So what I could have done is move off of Diggs to Thielen, and that upgrades me to Cook. That was probably optimal. We'll leave both combinations. We'll leave the Taysom Hill combination in there. All right, so this one only has Darren Fells and Singletary with a Cousins stack. So this is an example of a team where I am probably not scared to move to Breeze. But we do have a little Miles Sanders Philly stack in here that I like. Steve, what are your thoughts on this one, man? All we have so far is Fells and Singletary. But it's a Cousins stack. Ideally, these ones I would prefer to move to Breeze. But I kind of like this Miles Sanders Philly little mini stack late as a hammer. That's not bad. Need that Sony TD. Is it bad to hedge my lineup with Showdown? Absolutely not, man. James White lost a fumble on the final kickoff. Screw around. Yeah, that's not great. I think I leave this one too. Gotta have at least some. I like having this little. I think this might be my only like Miles Sanders Philly hammer with Cousins on the other side because most of the Cousins teams don't have a defense, I think. So I think I leave this one. We got 4 teams left. We got tons of time. All right, so we got Singletary, Patriots D here, but we got a Russ onslaught. Russ, Moore, Metcalf, Homer, bring back with Goddard, still get Kamara and Michael Thomas in this next game. I like that. I like the upside left in this one. James White, Corey Davis, Bills D. Yeah, this is one I think we move on. I don't think you can, if you like, I essentially have 2 somewhat failures in here. This team isn't winning with Drew Brees, and I'm trying to win. Let's do a Wentz with Lockett. We can. Start, as always, by leaving Michael Thomas in here. I mean, I still want as much Michael Thomas as possible, even on these teams that are borderline. We have PMR for the reason. All right, so let's get some more Philly in here. Let's get Goddard in here. Let's get Greg Ward in here. We got 8K left at running back. Dalvin, maybe. So Wentz, Goddard, Ward, Could just add Miles Sanders to this, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Sure, I can fit in Dalvin, but I would prefer just to correlate more, right? Am I counting this wrong? I'm starting to become cross-eyed with looking at all this. I think that's good. Bring it back with Tyler Lockett. Leaving 100,000 on the table. Not scared. If you play to win, play Diggs. Noel, I'm trying to get as much Diggs as I can today, my friend. Talk about guys that are definitely have been early on targeting New Orleans deep. With you on that, my friend. So this one, we got a Russ. It's only got Sony and Buffalo. Russ, Moore, Metcalf, Homer. Bring it back with Goddard, Michael Thomas, Kamara. Leaving that one. All right, so we got Singletary and a wide open squad. Breeze, Kamara, Traquan, Michael Thomas. Bring it back with Adam Thielen. We do have Philly, Miles Sanders, Eagles. Bring back with Hollister. I think it's reasonable. I mean, I'm not actively going to pivot away from a Breeze stack on a team that's basically wide open. I'll leave that. Sony and wide open. This one's interesting. Russ, Lockett, Hollister, Homer. Bring it back with Ward, Michael Thomas, mini stack. Oh, Sanders in this as well. So this is like kind of like a big time game stack with Michael Thomas and Saints D. I don't love this one. What do we think about this one, guys? This is the last one, by the way, so we have time. Sanders or Thielen for flex. I think Thielen leverages you more. Sanders for sure more upside for me. Can you do a Cousins, Cook, Thielen, Diggs, bring it back with Kamara? Come on, man. Absolutely. It's a great stack. What do you think about Kamara to Sanders and Rudolph with Hollister to Hollister with having DK and Diggs? Don't hate that. I don't know if it leverages you a ton, to be honest. It depends on where your team's at. I think you got to be a little bit more different on that one, I think. I'm not in love with this team. I guess it's just a complete onslaught of the last game. But Michael Thomas and Saints in there. So let's talk about where we could pivot this. We have a failure in here with Sony. But it's wide open. If we moved this to Cousins, basically get all of the Minnesota guys. Could move to like a Philly defense and then probably a really nice piece in here. I don't know. Maybe that's getting too cute. Do you think we leave this one? Even with just a wide open Sony Michel failure. We have Lockett in here. We got Hollister in here. Homer. It's just a basically onslaught in that last game. Do we try and get a team for another Diggs team in here? We have a lot of Diggs for the record, Noel. Not actively trying to get away from Diggs, that's for sure. I think in this one where I'm just not really sure what to do, I'm just going to go with my first instinct and leave it. Well, hopefully that exercise was useful, guys. That's exactly what I'm doing to teams when I'm late swapping through, right? Trying to get an idea of how much space I have available. Obviously, with a bunch of failures yesterday, it's still a situation where these wide open teams, and I do have a lot of wide open teams, fortunately, are still in pretty good shape. So hopefully I didn't get too crazy on those. Hopefully I didn't just pivot away from something that would have won me a lot of money. You want to learn more about how to be a profitable DraftKings and FanDuel player? Start now by hitting the subscribe icon in the bottom right-hand corner so you don't miss anything. If you can't wait until the next live stream on Twitch, make sure you come hang out with us in the Discord. Link in the description. I'll see you guys there.